Hello everyone, welcome back to Game Brigade. My name is Brian. It has been so freaking long since I've had an opportunity to sit and chat with you guys. I've been really busy running all across the United States and whatever that I haven't had a chance to film. So I wanted to do a second to do a collection update, to a little channel update, talk about where I've been, what I've been doing, what the plans are with Game Brigade and going forward into Gen Con, and also share with you another set of dice that I got from Magiseven that I am just in love with. Magiseven sent me some more dice because they wanted to show me some more stuff. I was already very impressed with their dice. I mentioned that they sponsored our video about a month ago, and then they were like, wow, Brian, thank you so much. Here's 2 more dice that we think you'd really love. One of them, because I mentioned, was the blue cat's eye dice. I mentioned that these are really good for people who are dice holders, who play like D&D games and whatnot, because the dice are so easily able to be seen when you're rolling them. My wife was like, these tiger's eye are really cool to see, and tiger's eye is an interesting gemstone because based on the type of cut you can get a wide variety of different types of colors and shapes within them. And I wanted to see what they looked like so I could tell you guys kind of what to expect if you're buying their products. Magiseven is one of my favorite places to purchase dice now. They have an exquisite collection here. I've got my Labradites, we've got the Bloodstone. These are ones I showed you from last time. Now we've got the Tiger's Eye and these Cat's Eye. These dice have been very impressive in terms of the cut, the quality, the size, everything about them, the weight. They're very good. So if we take a look at their website right now, I just want to bring this up because I thought this was kind of cool when I checked them out. They currently have a 10% off any order at checkout for the next 3 days, so make sure you guys are aware of that. And they have some more dice for their new releases. So they have this Frosted Prismatic, the dihydric dice. I think that was pretty cool. And then the Frosted Obsidian. This is brand new as well. I'm very curious what these look like. I have Obsidian dice that I purchased from another company, Wormwood, and they're not very easily seen. So these ones look like they're kind of taking a different aspect of that kind of like matte look for those dice. But yeah, you can come down here, use that coupon code that they mentioned here for the 10% off, Magiseven10, to get 10% off. They have free shipping anywhere in the US, Canada, and Europe. So that's really good for a lot of my viewers. That's the majority of where my viewers reside. So take a look at it. I think you guys would love it, especially if you're like me who likes to collect dice, or if you're looking for kind of like an elevated dice set for your games. This might be something for you. So thank you, Magiseven, for again choosing to sponsor my channel and helping us out here. The links will be on this down in the description below for your guys' convenience. From there, let's go ahead and hit the video. Okay, so let's go and close these up for now. Let's talk about where I've been. So for a while, we've been working on some of my properties that I have to deal with for work, and then I was gone to Level Up Retreat, which was like a week-long trip. And I have a bad habit of not having content saved up. I wish I was a good YouTuber in the sense that I would have like weeks worth of content so I could keep this channel going. Fortunately, I kind of live like day to day in terms of the channel. So I have to make sure I get better at that. And I have made plans to be like, okay, let's figure out ways to get ahead. So I was at Level Up Retreat. I played a lot of good games. In fact, let me get my phone, and we can talk about some of the games I played and kind of what the experience was in case you are thinking about going to Level Up Retreat yourself. Level Up Retreat was originally, I think, brought to you by 8-Axe Games, Level Up Games, and I think Board Game Co. Alex Radcliffe was a major player in terms of setting this up and making this happen. It took place in Stamford, Connecticut, which is basically just outside New York City. I would say it's like basically a part of New York in terms of a suburb. And it was in I think a Hilton or Hyatt hotel, I'm not quite sure which one, which was a massive center for a lot of different types of conferences or meeting places could take place there. In fact, there were 3 different conferences going on at the same time, with Level Up being one of them. So we had a board game convention going on. We had some Orthodox Jewish convention going on. I'm not quite sure what they were doing, but some sort of celebration. And then we had a lacrosse tournament, a bunch of lacrosse players coming in for some sort of tournament or some sort of all-star game. So that was kind of interesting. We had all these different groups of people, but you could very much tell who was belonging to what organization, which I thought was pretty funny. Because you're like, oh, yeah, that's the lacrosse player. Oh, yeah, that's obviously an Orthodox Jewish guy. Oh, that's obviously a board gamer. I thought that was pretty funny that we all were part of our groups. And so within that spot, we had the board game section set up. So you had a library of games available. They also had a lot of play to win games. So if you played a board game, you could write your name down on a sheet for a chance to win it. And there were a lot of games won. There was even games that no one had written down on the sheets to win, which I thought was interesting. So that means those games were obviously not as highly desired, which is kind of, might as well get a free game, play it and get a free game maybe. I don't know. I thought that was interesting. I didn't enter any of the free-to-play games. I wanted to let other people have an opportunity to win those, obviously. So, and I have way too many games as it is to put my hat to get even more. Probably the biggest game that was given away in the free-to-play, win-to-play section was an all-in pledge, in terms of gameplay all-in pledge for Oathsworn. So for whoever won that had to walk home with 4 massive boxes of Oathsworn, or they'd have to figure out a way to ship that home. So that was kind of cool that they gave away Oathsworn, though. It's one of my top 10 games. I love that title, so I thought that was pretty cool that they were giving it away. In terms of games that I played with a lot of content creators down there. The first game I played was with Shelf Clutter. We played Super Fantasy Brawl. He decided to teach me how to play that game, so I went into that completely blind, and it was fun. I don't know if you guys have played Super Fantasy Brawl, but effectively you will pick 3 different types of heroes. Each hero has a deck of like 7 or so cards. So you shuffle all of those cards together, and those cards have 3 different colors that they are associated to, and you're able to activate 3 different. You have 3 different actions, but they can only be one of each color. So you have yellow, blue, and red. So I can play a red card, but then I have to activate that ability, and I can't play any more red cards. So if my hand is full of red cards, then you only can do 1 action a turn. You can use basic actions for blue and yellow to like move and heal, or move and put cards back to draw them later if you want to draw that card again. Because at the end of your turn, you discard your whole hand and then draw back up to your hand size. So we played that. And I had a great time. I played Adam, and I believe, won that game somehow. It was kind of fluky at the end. It was an interesting game. I definitely wouldn't probably seek out Super Fantasy Brawl at this point to buy it. I've played better skirmish games than this one. But it was fun trying to figure out the puzzles and figure out, okay, how do I interact with my opponent, or how do I utilize my heroes to do the best, in that situation. I honestly felt like I had one champion that was actually good, and the other 2 were just doing nothing for me. But I was able to utilize my single champion's ability to hit hard and then heal himself to kind of keep myself relative in that game. And then I played Veiled Fate. I played that with several other attendees of the conference, as well as Seeker Themer. Maggie and Amy joined me for that game, and as well as Shelf Clutter. And so I don't know if you played Veiled Fate, but Veiled Fate is a game by Ivy Studios where you are going to be assigned a demigod, and your goal is to try to get your demigod to be the highest point scored demigod at the end of the game. So you're going to be doing things to score points for your character. But you don't want people to know who your demigod is, because if they have identified who you are, they're going to actively try to, harm your demigod, because on your turn, one of your actions can be activate a demigod. You can activate any demigod. Don't have to be your own. You can activate anyone's. So if someone has an idea of who you are, they're going to potentially move you in a position to harm you. So I thought that was an interesting mechanic, interesting gameplay. And we played 8 players, which means that we were playing teams. So that means you have another person who's on your team, but you don't know who they are. So you have to kind of play the game and see who's also interacting or playing with your color character, and maybe figure out a way so you can work together, and also signal to them that they are, you are together. So it's an interesting way. Maggie picked up on me. Oh, no, it was not. It was Maggie. I think it was Amy. Amy picked out on me that I was the pink demigod very quickly. And I, for some reason, thought in my brain, I was like, oh, she's my ally. So I was like trying to send her signals and like work with her. But she was definitely not my ally. I believe she was orange. And she was actively working against me. And I soon figured out that Adam was actually my teammate. And we got, I believe, second place. But Amy made a very good move to guarantee that no matter what, she wouldn't lose the game at the end. So good job on them. It was a great time. Definitely a little long at the 8-player count. I don't know if I'd play 8-player Veil Fate again. It was definitely a long game. From there, I also played Heat, Pedal to the Metal. I played that with Anthony and Francis from AntLab Games. And I would say I really enjoyed Heat. Heat is that racing game that everyone's been talking about, where you are going to be playing cards from your hand to accelerate around the board. But you have to also account for the turns, which is where all the excitement comes into, because based on the shift level of your card is how many cards you have to play. So if you're going around a corner and I'm in gear 3, I have to play 3 cards. But the corner might say 6 or 4 or even 2. That is the speed you must take that corner at. So you have to play cards from your hand, and if you exceed the speed through that corner, you'll be adding heat to your engine, which is just basically to your discard pile, so they'll come to your hand at some point. And those cards are basically dead cards. They're just worthless draws. They don't help you do anything. You eventually have to cool down your engine by slowing down and discarding those cards. I had a great time. I think we played 3 games of Heat because 1, the games go so fast, and 2, they're so fun that you're like, okay, I want to do it again. Now that I have a better understanding of what I want to do, and let's flip the track over and try something else. And I really enjoyed how some of the tracks have, some of them are more turning, so you have to really manipulate your cards and play them well, hold cards for certain turns as you come down to them, or open it up when you get to a straighting way. Or some tracks were also just basically opening up, like you're just flying, gear 4, going fast, a lot of fun. And it has a pretty interesting AI system too to play, so we play with 6 cards, even though we only played the 3 of us, to keep the AI also involved in the game, which is pretty fun. It's a pretty cool system. From there, I played Quacks of Quedlinburg. I played that with Devin from Devin Talks Tabletop, Quackalope, and not Quackalope, it's Board Game Co. And then now Lucky Duck. He's now working for Lucky Duck. Danielle from, I don't know if her channel name is just Danielle, but she's a TikToker, mostly known for her TikTok, but also Facebook and Instagram. I played with her sister or her daughter. You could say sister, but her daughter. Who else did we play that with? I can't remember if there was anyone else. It might have just been the 4 of us. But we played Quacks of Quedlinburg, and I've never played Quacks of Quedlinburg, and I had a lot of fun playing that game. I don't know if it's one that I'd buy for my collection, but it was definitely a fun little bag builder where you're moving yourself around your cauldron, getting different types of points and pushing your luck, trying not to bust. And at some point you stop and you gain rewards and you buy more components to add to your bag to hopefully get some sort of pattern. And what I liked about Quacks, which I don't think anyone ever really talked to me about, was the fact that you kind of choose a strategy in terms of the kind of components you're adding to the game. So I was losing really badly. There's a rat mechanic where if you're in last place, you get bonus points to help you along because you're so bad. And I was like the rat the whole game. I'm just like stinking it up. So I went with this Mandrake plan that was like for every Mandrake you played, it gets a bonus and they move along. And so I just went all in on Mandrakes. And that alone actually helped me in like the final 2 rounds to get almost all the way through my Quacks Cauldron to kind of get secured second place. I still lost to Devin. Devin went all in on this black thing that was able to move his water token, if you guys know what I'm talking about. And he was so far along that track because he was going all in on those black cards, those black chips. So he won, but barely. I'd say I did very well. Okay, and then from there, I played my first game of Crokinole. Adam from Shelf Clutter decided to show me how to play Crokinole, so we played a little tournament ourselves. We played 3 games. And he won the first game, I won the second game, and then won the third game to take the championship. And I remember I was going, USA, USA, because obviously he's Canadian, having some fun with it. And I discovered that I really, really enjoy crokinole, and it might be something I might pick up in the future, for our cabin or whatever. I think it would be kind of cool to have a crokinole board for kind of like the dexterity games. They don't really have dexterity games. And then the final game I played, which I played a bunch of games of, I played at least 4 to 5 games. I have 3 tracked, was Star Wars, the deck building game by Fantasy Flight. It's a game every time I sat down to play it, people would be like, oh, have you played this game? It's like Star Realms. I'm like, I haven't played Star Realms, but I have played this game. But thank you for your comment. I literally had that comment maybe like 8 times of sitting down to play Star Wars, the deck building game. But I really had a lot of fun. It's basically you pick a faction. One person's the Empire, one person's the Rebellion. You play your cards from your hand to either deal damage or gain resources. And you have a community row in the middle, which you can buy cards, but you can only buy cards based on your faction. So if you're Empire, you can only buy Imperial cards or neutral cards. There are some neutral bounty hunter cards available. And then I'm able to deal damage to the Rebel cards to get them out of the row to prevent my opponent from getting those cards. Really, really cool game. Had a great time. So overall, Level Up was a positive experience. I had a good time playing games. I would say one thing I learned is the first day, Friday, I spent so long driving around with Ant Lab getting food that I was like, man, I feel like I didn't get a chance to actually be at the convention because we were just getting lunch, which took hours, and then we get back and we hang out for an hour, and so let's go get some dinner. And so I was like, okay, let's just Uber Eats next time, because you waste so much time. So for Saturday and Sunday, Uber Eated. Yes, you're paying $30 for a Chipotle burrito, but at least I'm able to hang out at the convention center and meet people and play with people and whatnot. So that's something I figured out. The problem with the convention center's location is that there's not a lot of things near it. There's nothing within walking distance. And so it's not very centrally located in terms of stuff. And so if you are a person who likes to drive to get your things, you're driving through traffic, you're driving through the interstate, which is, bogged down because it's New York area. So it's kind of a weird thing to do. So I definitely think the Uber Eats was definitely the smart thing to do. In terms of my travel, by the way, East Coast travel is horrendous. Flying into Level Up Retreat, I had delays in Denver, both coming in and then leaving. And then Philadelphia was fine, although it took a long time for my luggage to kind of come through. And we started wondering, is my luggage gone? But luckily it did finally come through. It took 40 minutes for it to come through, though. And then leaving, my flight was originally supposed to leave on Sunday, and they canceled it, and they rescheduled me for Tuesday. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do for 2 days, waiting? And turns out a lot of those people whose flights were pushed to Tuesday were still canceled because there was incremental weather happening in New York that was potential tornado weather. I didn't hear any tornado touchdowns, but it was the system was ripe for tornadoes, I guess. So what I ended up doing is when my flight got canceled on Sunday, I actually called Ant Lab, who live in Philadelphia, and I said, hey, do you guys mind if I crash with you? Because I'm going to fly out of Philadelphia. So what I did is I took the Amtrak train down from Connecticut down to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and then I flew out the next day at 11 a.m. from Philadelphia Airport. So I was able to just ignore all that New York mess that was happening, because I know a lot of people who went to the convention were stranded or were getting their flights canceled. So that's something to just, it's an unfortunate thing that happened. It kind of, was I felt like I had traveled, the final 2 days, I felt like I had just been traveling nonstop, because I left the convention early, go to the train station. You're in the train station just waiting, getting on the train. It's crazy busy on the train. Although I did like Amtrak. I would say Amtrak trains are pretty sweet. I did enjoy it. And then the flight, again, I had to get to the airport early, unfortunately, because of the schedule that Ant Lab has. I had to be at the airport by 7 a.m. And then I had to chill till 11 and then fly back here to Idaho. So that's it. That was my Level Up story. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let's talk about all the new games that I've got in my collection and kind of talk about what's coming, and then a little bit of what's going. Not a lot is gone, I need to get back on track with selling games. So first off, the game that I want to show, I have Mystery of Sigilum. This is by Crow D Games. This is the collector's edition. You guys might remember I did a prototype review of this game when it was on GameFound, and their GameFound campaign did not successfully fund. So instead of killing their project, I believe they found an alternative source of finding funding, and were able to do a retail release for this game. And I very much enjoyed Bestiary of Sigilum. I thought it was a very interesting and smart skirmish game. Kind of reminded me of League of Legends in a way that you have your abilities and powers, and you have to kind of plan things out. And I love the amount of heroes and champions that are available in this game. And I believe this is scheduled for a Gen Con release. But because I did some coverage for the original prototype, they asked if I'd like a copy of the actual retail version. I said, of course, because I'd love to actually have the game now it's finished. So here's the Bestiary of Sigilum. Check it out. It's I think gonna be released for Gen Con. There's another title here that I have that'll also be a Gen Con release. So I'll put this one right here. Next, we have Deadly Downagers. I finally went through and sleeved all these cards. We're ready to go and play it whenever I get a chance. But this is from Tabletop Tycoon and Spaceworks. This one I actually have a giveaway for. And maybe we'll do a giveaway in this video now. So if you guys are looking for this game, if you're interested in this, just do a hashtag Deadly Downagers in your comment. Make sure you leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel, thumbs up the video to be entered the giveaway. But yeah, we've got a giveaway for this game. So if you're looking for it, I've heard really, really good things about this game. I know the theme might seem kind of weird, but don't put it off on you. I hear incredible things, and I'll have more coverage on it once I get a chance to play it. I finally got a chance to unbox it, and then I finally got it all sleeved and got it all ready. So we're good to go. It's just a simple card game. But if you'd like to get a copy of this, free shipping sent to you, just leave a comment down below. I will comment on the winner and give you instructions on how to get a hold of me so that we can get that game sent to you. Just leave a hashtag comment, Deadly Downagers, in your comment down below so we can track it if you're interested in that game. So let's put this right here. So I just picked this up because of Level Up Retreat. Star Wars, the deck building game. Because I played this so many times, Level Up Tree, I was actually kind of like, do I buy it? Because I played this like 5 or 6 times. Do I buy this game or do I let it go? But I had a lot of fun with it. Knowing it's Fantasy Flight, they're going to be probably expanding on this quite a bit. And I really, really enjoyed the system and the different types of combinations you can do. This is the base game, I would say, is a little dry in terms of the available combinations you can come up with. But I just think the system is ripe for expansions. The Star Wars universe is massive. There's so many more stuff that they can add to this. So I'm looking forward to that right now. So I picked it up. This is, I believe, right on that Prime Day sale too. So this is relatively inexpensive. I actually bought a second copy, which is up there right now, but I haven't unwrapped it because there is a 2v2 mode, so you can play 4 players, which requires 2 copies of the game. But when I was finally reading the rules for 2v2, I wasn't totally sure if it's something I want. Like if it's like something I'm like, yes, that's definitely for me. So I haven't unwrapped the second one. I might send it back and return it. Next, we have Sea of Havoc. This is by Rock Manor Games. This was sent to me for my coverage at some point. So I'm going to have some of these games are going to be coverage games that I'll have to cover at some point, and some of these are just me buying games for my own collection. So this was sent to me for my review, but they also didn't give me any type of timeline. They said, hey, if you get a chance to check it out, there's one more game that's very similar to that. But this is a piratey themed game where you're going to be sailing around, doing things. I don't know much about it. Again, I told them I was really busy with a lot of work right now, so I didn't have like an ability to get to games immediately. But that'll be Sea of Havoc. The next one is because I had such a good time with my first Castle Panic, I picked up My Little Scythe. So this is from Stonemaier Games. This, first off, is surprisingly heavy for like the weight. I was very, very surprised the amount of components in this. I went through, I finally got everything sleeved up, ready to go. It might be a little too heavy for my daughter, who's going to be 4 here very soon. But I wanted to, yeah, it says ages 8 up. I wanted more games that are going to be geared for us to play to get her, you know, as she's learning. So this might be a little early. Maybe I'll force my board game group to play with me so I could talk about it a little bit, because I did want to do like a top games for younger audiences. Yeah, so I went through, finally organized it. Very surprised with how well everything is in here is designed. But it's a Stonemaier game. Like, Stonemaier is very, very good at making their stuff kind of interesting and good. So that's that one. Next, finally just arrived. Got her unboxed and organized. Is Atlantis Rising Monstrosities. I got the core box over there right now. But I finally went through everything, unboxed it, sleeved it up, put all the stuff that are like in the small boxes, combined them in the core box or in the Monstrosities box, depending on where they go. And we are ready to go. So this is one that is having a lot of issues right now. Elf Creek Games is running into problems because they're asking for shipping now. So I guess I should be grateful for the fact that I got my copy and I didn't have to pay any additional shipping. I think people in Europe are probably paying more just based on their regionality, based on like how their shipping costs are being calculated. That's a little unfortunate. I'm sorry, guys. But yeah, this is Atlantis Rising Monstrosities from Elf Creek Games. Basically like a better Pandemic is what I was told. But I've kind of like graduated above Pandemic. I don't really play that system anymore. In fact, I sold my Pandemic. So that's something I'll have to see. Well, the question is if this is going to stay in my collection or not. The next game is another another pirate sailing game, Old Salt. And this is, I believe, who is this from? Never Board Games. And it says on the back, Gameland. So I'm not totally positive on... I think Never Board Games is the company that actually publishes this or designed this. But this is a swashbuckling gateway war game. I love war games. War games are some of my favorite types of games to play. They also reached out to me and said, hey, Brian, can you check out our game? We think you might like it. And I said, hey, I don't know when I can get to it, but I can in time. I will definitely get to your game. So they said, that's not a problem. You know, we'd love to hear your thoughts on it at some point. So they sent me the copy. So this one with Seas Havoc, these are, funny enough, they're both pirate games. But these are the two published games that I have to at some point cover, as well as some down here. Okay, so what else we got? Doomlings. I got this foil version of Doomlings. I had a person reach out to me, a viewer, saying, hey, I want to make a trade with you, and I'll trade you this Doomlings game with everything in it, with all these cards. So I got the whole, basically, Doomlings collection, and I was like, sure, you know what? That sounds good. I've never actually traded with anyone online before. And I was a little nervous because I just don't know what to think sometimes. But he actually sent his product first. I got it. I was like, great. As soon as I got it, I sent mine out immediately. We just wrote down the UPS store and sent it out within the hour. So everything was great. He got his product. He's super happy. I got my game. And so Doomlings is a game that I covered a long time ago. I had the prototype and I covered that. But that was in 2020. That was when I was a very small baby channel. And I never got the actual finished product. So now I have the finished product. I can actually play the actual game as intended, rather than just a sliced down version, which was the prototype. So that's Doomlings. I'm super excited to check this one out here shortly too. Okay. This is another contract job. Conqueror. The Final Conquest is a game that I covered again also very early in my channel in 2020. This gentleman sent me Conqueror for my review, but at that time it was a retail version of the game. It was just his retail version. But they're going to be doing a Conqueror Empires, I believe it's Empire Rises, which will be on GameFound here very, very soon. So I'll be having my review of this system and how it impacts the base game. Because Conqueror I gave a pretty solid review as a war game, skirmish tactical game. But there was things that were definitely missing from this. And I shared that with the designer. I was like, hey, here's some things. And then this game, this expansion, kind of fixes all of this stuff. So it's a much better, complete version of this game. So we'll have a full review here shortly. Hopefully before Gen Con occurs, so that you guys can make your backing decisions on whether or not Conqueror is for you or not. So that's that. The next game, this is going to be another Gen Con release that I'd like to get some coverage of prior to Gen Con. This is Fabled. This is also by Crody Games. So these same people who sent me the Bestiary of Sigilum game. They asked if I'd cover Fabled. I know Antlab also got this because when I was staying at their house, I saw it on their shelf. So you might see some coverage from Antlab as well. But Fabled is, what kind of game was it? I remember it was like a puzzle path game, which you could potentially have some trick taking or maybe some take that. I need to definitely look into it. I just got the game, got it all unwrapped, ready to go, but I need to play with my wife and see, you know, what's this game like, and give you guys kind of like my overview impressions of this. So for people who are going to Gen Con who are interested, might be able to take a look at it. Because what drew me to it originally when they said, hey, would you take a look at this, was the art. I was like, wow, that's some really, you know, unique, cool looking art. And I'm usually drawn in first by art. That's generally like one of the first things that I take a look at, and then kind of mechanics. It's kind of weird how I do that. Maybe it's because art's the first thing you see, and it's so like subjective, like you can look at it. But yeah, so I was like, yeah, sure, I'd love to take a look at it. Plus, I've enjoyed working with Crody. They've been very kind to me in terms of when I was a very, very small channel, offering me games for my reviews so I can get some content on the channel. So I very much appreciated that. And the final game was another Amazon Prime Day deal, as I picked up Hadrian's Wall. This is a roll and write based on Hadrian, who built a wall in England. And I've heard so many good things about this game. This is from Garfield Games and Renegade Games. I've heard such good things about this title that I was like, okay. I saw it on Prime Day. It was like maybe $15 or $20 on Prime Day sale. I was like, okay, I'll buy that. I'll take the bite. So that was the last game I picked up for my collection. So as you can see, I've added a lot of stuff to the collection, and the only thing I was able to remove was my secondary copy of Tenaris. I had an extra pledged copy of Tenaris. We sold that during this recent campaign, so a person can get the game prior to the campaign. I sold that at a pretty decent price, I thought. Comparatively to what the Kickstarter price was. And I have some more stuff I need to move over here in the entranceway that's just sitting there kind of bogging me down. But yeah, that's about it. I haven't really done much selling. Been really busy with just work and real life stuff, and you know, birthdays and things for the kids and whatnot. So I plan on getting more stuff going here very soon. We also had problems with my audio system. I have a brand new recorder set up over here. You can't see it because it's all blocked and whatnot. But my recorder system went down, so I had to buy another recorder. Luckily, Amazon Prime Day had a good sale on a recorder for me to buy. But that was significant. That was a couple $100 to buy a new recorder. And so this is the first video I'm filming after my test videos. So hopefully the audio system is working well, and that we shouldn't have any more disruptions in that, and then we can get on to the video. So the next video I should be working on will be this Conqueror one, and then from there maybe we'll have a top 10 and whatnot. There's plenty of things I want to do. I have a whole list of ideas on my phone. I have no idea where my phone went. I have a whole list of ideas of things I want to get pushed to the channel, to share some things that I've had a lot of fun with. So that's the current plan. I've also started a new gameplay channel called Game Brigade Plays. Right now I'm playing Risk Global Domination, which is a free-to-play app that you can get on your phone or your computer. And I play that on my computer right now. The link will be in the description down below. So the reason I started filming the Risk is I watched a guy play Risk. And I was like, wow, this is actually one, super entertaining to kind of watch the strategy and the mind games that happen when you're playing that game. And two, I became fairly good at the game. Like, I think I'm like a top player, I think, in that system. And so I wanted to share my thoughts and opinions and show ways how to get better at the game of Risk. So if that's something you're wanting to take a look at, your subscription would be very much appreciated. I'm trying to get that channel up to 1,000 subscribers as quick as possible so that the YouTube algorithm starts working for me instead of against me. So if you want to support my Game Brigade Plays channel, if you don't watch it, I understand, but a subscription would be great, very, very helpful for me on that. Again, link is in the description. So my voice is still a little horsey from the Level Up retreat, so I'm going to stop talking so I can get some more rest. Thank you guys for watching. I will talk to you very soon. Bye-bye.